Hello to my students in Merced. I just wanted to send out a really short midweek announcement. First I wanted to say thank you to the students that have already taken the survey. Uh, it's an assessment of my class and that it'll help me find things that I can improve to make our class a little bit better. And I know that for many of us, taking an online class, especially an art class online, is brand new, and that all of us, almost all of us, are basically experiencing all of this at the same time. And so, if you haven't taken the survey, go ahead and take it. It'll help me out a lot. Okay. And so I wanted to share with you guys something. It doesn't really deal with this class in particular, but it deals with art students in general. And actually there are some assignments that you might be able to associate this with, but let me go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with some examples that I have from my drawing class. And so I'm hoping that you guys can see this here. So I have a student's work here. One of my drawing students out in Madeira. And so you can look at it and say, hey, you know, that there's some pretty neat things happening here. The teapot is really nice. The rendering of the book is you know, very neat and compact, and there's some cool things happening with the shadows. There's some ambiguity in terms of the way, in terms of the form and how it's being rendered. I'm not really sure what's going on with the oval here. And so I guess let me get straight to the point. If this was my drawing, if you were to look at, you are given this paper, 18 inches by 24 inches, right? But the drawing itself is just encompassing a very small rectangle in the middle. So in doing so, all of this negative space, all of the space around it is almost just a bit redundant of what's already there. So for my design class, what would you do to try to make this drawing a little bit better? And so what I ended up doing is I showed the student what he could have, a simple step to eliminate some of the, say, unnecessary use of space. And I just basically cropped it to what is a little bit more important. And so I zoomed in, and when it comes to composition, you really want to have something in mind. You want to have something as a point of emphasis, in that everything else, if there is nothing really there, there's no real point to include it on the surface of your drawing, because we are working on a two-dimensional surface. It's a flat surface where we can see the whole thing at once. There isn't really a point for us to use the whole space if our subject is very small. So what do we do to kind of make up for that is we crop. We eliminate what's not necessary. And we try to bring these objects in focus by putting them forward. Okay, so I'm going to show you another example of another art student of mine where he is very good at drawing. He's so talented at rendering form, but his sense of composition isn't really there yet. You know, shout outs to my student George. Yeah, he's actually one of my top students out in Madeira CC, and it's not, this work doesn't really express that. But here we are seeing some really nice form being rendered in the center, but then I can't really help but feel that a lot of the negative space wasn't really utilized, in that he could have done something a little bit more to make the overall drawing a little bit stronger. And he could have done, a simple step such as cropping, just to bring some of these objects into focus. Instead, he was, and this is what a lot of students do, is they're kind of bent on including everything that they can. They want to include the whole, say, scene, because in that way it makes more sense. But when it comes to creating an overall stronger composition, it's actually better to leave out parts that will not contribute. I hope that makes sense. So when it comes to composition, it's kind of another skill to practice a little bit of restraint, to where you are being selective, in that for the students in the design class, this is very important, because you are working on a two-dimensional surface, a flat surface, and that when viewers see your work, they're looking at the whole thing all at once. So you want for every inch of the surface to matter. You don't want parts to feel unfinished or unnecessary. And so let me show you a better example of a work that I feel is very strong. Okay, and so here we have another still life drawing. This was of a different subject, but here the artist right away just cropped a lot of what was in front of her, and just focused on parts of the work that mattered the most. And so when it comes to design, when it comes to two-dimensional design, we almost want to have that mentality to where we want to focus on what's important. We want to focus on the elements that's going to make your overall work stronger. You don't have to, you don't have to include everything just for the sake of making that space make more sense. To be a little bit more confident in your art, it's almost like it's like, okay, I already know that. How can I push myself to a point where I can focus on these things that matter? Okay, and so yeah, for 2D design, the projects that you guys worked on recently, it might not feel connected to this, but in a way, I want for you guys to focus on what matters. What are the elements of composition that matters, opposed to just trying to include everything for the sake of making the space making it make sense. I should have just typed out what I was going to say, but anyway, sometimes I feel like I'm better at describing things when I wing it, and other times I feel like I should have just typed it out. In this case, I just winged it. So I hope it, in a way, I get the message across to you. And so anyhow, again, I just wanted to check in with you guys and just throw this in, because I want for my students to become more confident with their art, and that you want to focus on what's important. And so if you guys have any questions, let me know what's going on, and hope that you guys are all doing well. We're almost halfway through the semester, and we're almost, I think we have midterms quite soon, so I'm actually looking forward to that. I actually noticed some droppage in terms of students' work, and I know that working online, doing all of these things sort of on your own, you have to be very self-motivated to get some of these projects in. So thank you for the effort that you put in the class so far. I see a lot of really strong work in the ART15 class this semester. So just keep pushing it, keep grinding it out, and I hope that the rest of the semester goes well. So yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.